you don't need to overcomplicate things. You just need to implement the right tools and have that right approach. It really is so simple. Nothing needs to be a struggle. There is opportunity in everything. Well, if I do this, if I take this kind of action, I end up with money in the bank and I can buy a skateboard or vinyl or a surfboard or a new bike. And so I was known as the rich kid at school, not because of my parents, but because I had my own freedom, independence to buy whatever I want. And that freedom and opportunity then led to just consistent, continuous growth.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our community. So excited to be here today and have another awesome conversation. Today, we're talking with a leading performance business coach and success strategist. He's dedicated the past 25 years to learning the tools and strategies for optimal performance and success so you don't have to. So Dan Remon, thanks for being on the show today. I'm really excited to have this conversation.
Absolutely. It's great to be here.
Yeah. You know what? I identify so much to your story, what I've looked at so far. So I would love for people to connect with, first of all, I know we're going to talk about principles and some takeaways that people can use in their life, whether it's in their business, whether it's in their personal life, their fitness, their relationships, right? We're going to get to that, but I want to be able to know your story and how you got started in all this.
Yeah. Well, I guess I can take this back to probably when I was around 8. And I remember having conversations with my mom, and she said to me, my first lesson I learned was, don't comply, follow your dreams. And so from a young age, all I wanted to do was to travel the world. That was it. And so I was working 3 jobs through primary school and high school. And I learned the value of money in terms of opportunities and choices at a very, very young age. And so that drive to be active and to serve, obviously predominantly a lot of what I was doing back then was in the service industry, even being quite entrepreneurial at the age of 11. And that just fueled my desire to grow and to do more. And that's kind of really where it all started. Growing up in the beaches of Sydney, very active, very outdoor lifestyle, surfing, playing sport, every sport, and just that interest into the psychology around performance and physical performance, how to optimize outcomes, started when I was very, very young. And that, of course, has become a lifelong pursuit for the last quarter of a century. And it never ends.
It's interesting you say that, because you think of, I identify with that, right? I grew up, I love sports and I love fitness, and I became a chiropractor, right? So I ended up serving like you're serving, right? At that time, I remember it be like, oh, sports was so maybe silly, or maybe sports were, the athletes were like those dumb jocks, right? But we did learn principles of loss, win, loss, people that were successful. Some of them were talented, right? But we also learned that those people that worked hard got better results. And even the less talented people, if they worked hard, could beat the people with the talent that wasn't working, right? So we started to learn basic principles that you could take what you have and apply it, and we would learn through trial and error success principles. So I think it's cool to point that out for, because I really think as we were younger, it was something just fun for the kids to do, but we were learning some principles. I raised my kids that way. I make sure they're involved in sports, because I want them to learn those same lessons that we learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And beyond just getting better at something with a little bit of commitment and discipline, you learn the hard knocks, right? You learn that you can't win everything, and you don't win trophies for just turning up, right? You got to turn up to be better and to win. But unless you actually have some commitment to your game plan, again, and whether it's the sport or work or business, there is that cause and effect. There is an outcome based on your effort and contribution to, along any equation. And so that was really that process for me is, a young child going, oh, well, if I do this, if I take this kind of action, I end up with money in the bank and I can buy a skateboard or vinyl or a surfboard or a new bike. And so I was known as the rich kid at school, not because of my parents, but because I had my own freedom, independence to buy whatever I want. And that freedom and opportunity then led to just consistent, continuous growth and resilience, of course, and not being afraid to fail. Be like, oh, okay, well, that was interesting. What do I need to do differently instead? And it's just that constant pivot. And that's also one of those principles that I share with clients as well, is that it's not actually about the outcome. It's about how you play the game. And it is the game of life. So gamification and being able to focus on the present and just think of those two powerful words, which are what's next? What's coming next? And that certainly helps to focus on the controllables and keep moving forward.
I love that. I love that you gamified, the rhythms and the structures and the discipline of work, and you gamified it because you're excited about that result. And it's what's cool is if you identify that from an early age, and it's part of your value system. And so tell me how you've now developed these programs, because I'm assuming people maybe didn't have that experience. So what you're doing is having them catch up to where you are, maybe realizing that, life could be a little more fun. Success is fun. Having some money in your pocket's fun, and having freedom is fun, right? So tell me how you decided that you wanted to make it a career and create these programs.
Yeah. So by the time I was 16, I still had no intention of going to university. I wanted to finish high school at 18 or 17 and a half and hit that one-way ticket and travel the world. That's what I'd been saving my whole short life at that point. And then I got interested not just in the sports side of things, but the science and the physiology of health, and understanding the neuroscience and the human body and how you could create adaptation. So I did very well in those subjects, and then that led to opportunity into one of Australia's leading sports colleges and universities. And that was where the Academy of Sport was. So it's very practical, very hands-on, and sought some good employment opportunities after that. But I guess the story really starts by questions. A lot of the programs that I've developed and the breakthroughs that we share with clients, whether it's in health, habits, behavioral change, that psychology of success has come through questioning everything. Doesn't matter what the research is, who the experts, who the researchers are, but we can take their research, apply it, and then always be asking powerful questions to be, well, that's interesting. What if I just tweaked it a little bit this way? Oh, that was a better result. Maybe I'll try that with another client. And this could be around pain or fat loss or getting that metabolic shift or making something easy. So when we bring all this back to that psychology of success, whether it's business or health or pain management, we've got another tool that I call rebar. And this is the greatest block to any progress. And rebar is simply remove any external barriers and resistance, whatever that might be. So on the flip side, if we can eliminate all resistance and make something so simple and so easy, and then get fast feedback that makes us feel good or heads us in the right direction, then that moves to the next step. What's next again? And so that could be eliminating excuses, getting started, and you just got to make things as simple as possible to then help people take those little steps.
So when you say resistance, clarify what you mean by resistance in that situation. Like what's a good example of resistance?
So a task that might be too big, right? We have resistance, and then we shift to procrastinate on something that's easier, that's totally unrelated, that makes us think, because we get that dopamine response, that we're doing something productive. We're getting a return on that time investment. Wanting to lose weight and thinking that I've got to go to the gym 5-6 days a week, and I don't want to go through that pain, and it's just an hour of exercise and effort, I don't want to do it. Well, I have a 2-minute rule. Hence why my podcast is the 2-minute coach, because that is how you make things so simple. And that eliminates the biggest excuse in the world, which is, I don't have time. So in that first consultation with someone, and they're like, yeah, super busy, I don't have much time. I'm like, so you got 2 minutes? 100% of the time I get of course I've got 2 minutes. Bang. There's the opportunity to any outcome right there. Then obviously you need to follow that up with a tool or a strategy or a principle or something that gives them that quick return that makes them think, I can do that. I could do this anywhere. And that is what builds what I call contagious momentum.
Love that.
That's what you want to get addicted to.
I love that. There's so much to unpack there. And I want to get back to that. But before we do that, I want people to know, like, I'm looking at your resume. I mean, you're legit. You've traveled the world. You've worked with many people. You've been involved with the Olympics. So I just want people to know, where you've been and you're a little bit more of that credential piece. Because I want to get back to that resistance piece, because we kind of hit on it before in the interview, like these conflicts that come up in our life and how we can change our way we look at that. But tell me this, I just want to go a little bit, tell us a little bit more about your background. I want people to know who they're speaking with.
So after my degree in exercise physiology and psychology, and worked for a couple of years, it was time to head off. So I was out on that one-way ticket to travel the world. I didn't know where I was going to end up. My parents are English, born in Australia, so I have a British passport. And I thought I would end up working in the health, fitness, sport performance industry in the UK. Obviously, growing up one of the most beautiful parts of the world in Sydney's beaches, getting into London kind of wasn't what I was expecting. So I thought, well, I won't be stopping here for long. And traveled Europe for about 8 months. Now, one of my clients in Sydney was the producer of Australia's largest sports channel, and they were covering the Commonwealth Games in '98 in Malaysia. So my one-way ticket to the UK, I was back went to Singapore actually, and I worked at the Commonwealth Games. From there, I was headhunted and I was offered a job in one of the world's first leading health resorts. That was before health resorts and wellness retreats were a thing. And that place is called Shiva Som. So lots of celebrities, very exclusive, very high end. And from that point, it was the feeling that I was going to get stale. I thought I would lose my edge in the industry being in Asia. So headed off to the great United States of America to go and check out the mecca of health and fitness. And I guess I didn't find what I was looking for. And obviously my journey has been through the psychology and the neuroscience, not just the physiology. And it was at that point that I realized that I needed to get back to Asia and pioneer an industry. So questioning everything, investing in growth, neuroscience, a lot of psychology side of things, and then pioneering the industry here in Asia through corporate wellness and leadership programs. We opened the first personal training studios and integrated physiotherapy and pain management into our concept for total lifestyle and behavioral change. That was really the start of it being in Asia. And that, of course, led to other opportunities, such as helping manage the athletes training center inside the athletes village in London at the 2012 Olympics, which was a big eye-opener on many fronts. You would not believe what you see.
Really?
But, yeah.
You want to share on that? Or I think you do. That's why you tell me.
It's an experience. Well, you've got this obviously excitement and high energy of the world's greatest athletes all in one center. And Just the canteen was the size of like tents that were a mile long. So in these tents, you've got lots of different restaurants. You've got some, familiar brands and names, and then you've got lots of independent providers for every cuisine you can imagine. Obviously, their objective is to make food like home.
Right.
And so which restaurant do you think had the longest queue? And I'm talking 24 hours a day.
It's probably McDonald's or Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Back then it was McDonald's.
It's McDonald's.
Right.
Big time.
Crazy.
And the number of athletes and coaches walking around drinking Coca-Cola and just queued up at these fast food joints was incredible. So of course it makes you start to think, be like, well, if this is how the world's best athletes are fueling themselves at the Olympics, number one, obviously the sponsorship influence, but number two, then you start thinking about, imagine human potential. If this is how the world's leading athletes are fueling themselves at the games, imagine how much more that they have, or how much more we have to achieve greatness in the world.
Yes.
Not just on an athletic sense.
Yeah.
Right. In its entirety.
Sure.
And even the athletic training modalities. So here I am, sports performance coach at the Olympics. I've got national Olympic coaches watching me support some other athletes or teams. They don't know me from a bar of soap. And they're saying, Dan, can you coach my athletes tomorrow morning? I mean, it's like handing over your children to a babysitter that you've never met before. And so a lot of the training principles, whether it's form and technique or their process for warming up, was a real eye-opener. So that really fueled that opportunity to think, well, how much better can we be?
What a perfect lab for you to be in, right? What a perfect laboratory to be with the elite athletes in the world coming to you to have them tweak their routine, their mindset, and you wish their diet, right? At that point.
Yeah. And it was a real gift. Like, definitely one of the highlights of my career as well, and being able to network with Olympic teams and coaches, and to really see the inside of one of the world's greatest events.
Awesome.
So so that was all going on at the same time as my businesses here in Asia, and that then extended into creating a fitness academy as well, where we're certifying coaches and trainers to really build a bridge, not just to train, but to be outstanding coaches.
That's fantastic. And I know you have a lot of different programs, but so what are some of the types of people you're working with today? I know you have different programs, so I'd imagine there's different types of people for different programs, but so tell us a little bit about the type of people who are connecting with you and working with you today.
Yeah, so predominantly it's professionals and executives, definitely in that corporate background. And most of them are in their 40s and 50s. And I think the biggest catalyst of change in this age demographic is that they're looking at the long game now. Right? Their goals, their aspirations have changed, they've evolved, and they're seeking more efficient and, we'll say, personal approaches to a sustainable outcome. They're mature and old enough to know that they can leave their ego at the door, and that if they want to accelerate an outcome, then they need to seek the advice of experts in their field, that they don't know everything themselves. And there is more to this game than just doing your own research and reading blog articles and reading books and watching videos on YouTube. There are some nuances, right? There are some caveats in there that someone like ourselves know beyond that textbook approach to an outcome.
Wow.
And so a lot of those principles that we have developed, that we help with our clients, like overcoming resistance, excuses, incorporating things into a a sensible lifestyle without being extreme, based on those years of experience in the trenches and identifying proven principles.
So you're having people that they're coming to you and they're coming up with common, they know their roadblocks, or they just feel like they should be getting more out of their life, and they're just coming to you with those type. Do you see a common problem? I know we started. I cut you off when you said that we talked about those conflicts, right? But are you seeing some common conflicts or roadblocks that show up in your typical client?
Yeah, especially at this age demographic, is that they've tried everything on their own and they just haven't been able to crack the code, right? They haven't got where they expected or where they want or where they need to be. I think this is also part of facing their truth. Maybe they haven't unpeeled enough of those layers, but realizing that, hey, you know what? I think I need some help here.
And my best efforts has gotten me here. Like when you get to be, I'm 51. When you get to 51, you're like, I think I've tried all of my best ideas, and this is where I'm at. And it's like, okay, now I can use a little bit of advice. Is that what you're kind of getting that?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm just a couple of years behind you. I'm 48 now,
right?
And I think that certainly helps with establishing your own confidence to take a different path.
Mm-hmm.
And it certainly allows us to take a little bit more of a hardline approach, especially when it comes to things like accountability or being direct, right? When people are investing to get a result, of course, you can put it nicely. But ultimately, I think it comes down to them trying to do things on their own, or being so just overwhelmed with the amount of options and the amount of information out there. They're like, I need someone to shed some light on this because I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I don't know what to believe. I don't know which direction to turn and what to do next. So definitely some cotton patterns.
I'm glad you're out there. You're doing that. Could you share with us a story of just one of your favorite breakthroughs or something that's happened that you think we'd appreciate?
Yeah, I've had, so I have a client of mine. She's a diplomat. She's Mexican, actually, and she's in Asia and she's traveled the world. And she had basically 30 years of feeling that she wasn't good enough. Never took the time to actually sit and look back at her successes to recognize her wins and find that evidence. So she'd invested obviously thousands of dollars with lots of therapists, NLP, coaches, all kinds of supportive approaches to help her build that confidence and awareness so that she could keep moving forward. And she just said, Dan, no one has ever just explained it as simple and allowed me to understand and given me the tools. I said, she said, I've given you you've given us a treasure chest. Mm-hmm. And all I need to do is open that treasure chest. I know exactly which tool I need to pull out, and I know exactly how to apply. And you know, a lot of these clients, they've been through thoughts of suicide and giving up, and to be able to take them into a place of despair to one of just unstoppable courage and clarity to just be excited to move forward and have that transformative experience in such a short amount of time. We say that we have this opportunity to reinvent ourselves. And so a big part of that transformation was for her to realize that she is a different person. So regardless of what happened to her as a child or through her previous marriages or anything like that, she has evolved in a different person. So those things no longer apply. Right? And of course, we gamify these too. And it's similar concepts. So this all comes back down to that concept of identity and creating your future self and stepping into a different identity.
I love that. I love that idea because it's this idea of creation. You can create a new version of yourself with new thought processes and taking that wisdom from the past. And I love, what was great about you telling that story, how you lit up. Like you could tell this
Yeah.
is your purpose in life. So could you just, so tell us, you told us your story and how you got here. And so tell us a little bit about like how you see your purpose and what you're doing, what was, when I say my purpose, like this is what I'm here for. This is what I can see myself doing for the rest of my life. So tell us a little bit about identifying to your purpose.
It's definitely to create that impact and to show people that success and creating that ideal dream life of health and energy and focus and purpose is really simple, right? You don't need to overcomplicate things. You just need to implement the right tools and have that right approach. It really is so simple. Nothing needs to be a struggle. There is opportunity in everything. And so when you can help people not just experience it for themselves, but then share it with others. One of my other clients, his key factor is that ripple effect. And he lights up when that ripple effect of what he's learned from me or our mastermind groups, and that has a knock-on effect. Mm-hmm. Now that is where it goes. Now, sometimes we don't know what that ripple effect or who it's going to reach or how it's going to have an impact. And in terms of my legacy, it's not a legacy of how I want to be remembered. I really have no desire to be remembered. That's not a consideration for me at all. It's just to create the biggest amount of ripples while I'm here at this point in real time, in the present moment. And I know if that is my drive, especially as you would know too, being in the health industry, it's not a money driver. If you're motivated by money in the health industry, you're never going to make it. You have to be driven purely by that desire to create a positive impact in others, whether it's helping them be pain-free or having that zest to achieve and be successful and be fearless. And those are the things that really drive me. And I will continue to do that just until my last breath. That's it.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So I want people to stay connected with you. I know you've got your website. So, and of course you have to spell them out. The links will be below here, but I'm assuming your website, tell me what the best ways to stay in touch with you.
Yeah. The best one would be through the website, which is danremon.com. That's DANREMON.com. Twitter, Dan Remon. And they would probably be the best two places to track me down. It's all there, and there's lots of information that people can chew on. As I said, even with the 2-minute podcast, it's 2-minute growth tools that you can digest in just 2 minutes. So
the website's great because you have your corporate programs in there. You've got the podcast is right there. So the website's awesome. That'll be below. I have to follow you on Twitter as well. I'm trying to get good at that. Now that Elon's taking it over, I've never really figured out Twitter, but I'm going to follow you on Twitter, Dan.
I use it as a note taker. I just drop my thoughts down there.
Okay.
Again, no expectation. And that's also what the 2-minute podcast is all about too, is you eliminate that time excuse of people thinking, oh, it's a whole hour. It's 2 minutes.
Just drop and go.
Right?
Take action.
Yeah.
Take action.
Take it. Build awesome. That contagious momentum.
So listen, so I hope people take action and check out your website and on Twitter. And I appreciate you being here. Love to stay connected with you myself. And we always appreciate people coming and spending some time with our community. So thank you very much.
Awesome, David. I've appreciated it. I've really enjoyed it today. And I hope everyone continues just to evolve, right? Be fearless and be your best possible future self.
That'll be our takeaway for today. Let's evolve. Have a great day, man.